Let me guess, the last few years have been hard for you. Life stuff, work stuff, money problems, car problems, family keeping you busy with all their problems. Life is freaking hard, man. And then you heard about this hobby called retro games. And then you watched some TechTweet videos about these retro handheld doodads and you finally got one. And you played Punch-Out or Golden Axe, and it worked. The nostalgia washed over you, and suddenly all these problems like your bills and family and car problems and your secret second family and work stuff all seem to melt away because you have retro games in your life. But now you have a new problem. You've already played all your old favorite games and now you're ready to discover some new ones. And oh my gosh, there are so many freaking retro games. How the heck are you supposed to find the good ones to play? If only there was a helpful video by a lovable dweeb to simply and straightforwardly give you a list of 20 of the most amazing games ever that are handpicked to be a great experience, so you can just play those games and have a guaranteed good time with your retro emulation toy. Yeah, if only. Super Mario World is like the video game equivalent of your mom's mashed potatoes. It's classic, comforting, and it never gets old. This game took everything that was great about Mario and cranked it up to some really high number. The vibrant, colorful worlds and smooth animations made you feel like you were playing a cartoon. And the music in this game is like the soundtrack to my childhood and my adult life, but let's not dwell on that. The gameplay is tight and responsive, like perfectly cooked mashed potatoes, and this game was the first time that we got to meet Yoshi. The levels are full of secrets and hidden exits and those darn ghost houses that make me question my life choices. Super Mario World was a revolution in gaming. It ushered in the 16-bit era, showed us what the SNES could do, and set the standard for platformers for years to come. And if you disagree, well, let's just say I might have to question your taste in video games. No offense. Maybe a little. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is basically the reason why half the games that you love exist. It took the classic Castlevania formula, shook it up, and out popped a beautiful non-linear exploration game. You get a massive mysterious castle to explore, packed with secrets, power-ups, and spooky bad guys. The game's visuals were a stunning blend of 2D sprites in an era where everything else was going 3D crazy. And it really does stand the test of time better than most games from that era. Symphony of the Night introduced RPG elements like leveling up and equipment, which was pretty unique for the time, and it's still as fun today as it was back then, even if Dracula laughs at you every time you die, which he will, a lot. Everyone talks about A Link to the Past being the best Zelda retro game, and it's awesome, no argument here, but for this list I wanted to highlight Link's Awakening. Imagine squeezing a full Zelda experience into a tiny Game Boy cartridge. Impossible, right? Yet Link's Awakening did it. It had all the exploration, puzzles, and epic boss battles that you'd expect from a Zelda game, but with its own unique charm. The dreamy island setting and quirky characters and adorable pixel art made the game feel like a whimsical, wonderful adventure. Link's Awakening proved that handheld games could be just as deep and engaging as their console counterparts. So yeah, A Link to the Past might get all the attention, but Link's Awakening deserves its share of the spotlight too. Mega Man 3 took everything great about the series and took it to the next level. Pun intended. You got your classic tough as nails run and gun platforming, rock solid level design, and of course those iconic robot boss battles. But Mega Man 3 added a few new twists like the introduction of Rush, the robot dog, and let's not forget about the slide move that made the gameplay faster and more dynamic. The music is unforgettable. Seriously one of, if not the best retro game soundtracks like ever. Mega Man 3 isn't just a great game, it redefined the formula to near perfection and it set the stage for the genre's future. If you're into retro games and haven't played this one, do yourself a favor and check it out. We played this on the Dusty Game Society and I made an entire review video, so watch that if you want to see more. There are a ton of amazing Sonic games out there, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles is widely regarded as the best of the best, for a good reason. It was released in 1994 for the Sega Genesis, and this game was the ultimate Sonic experience, combining everything that made Sonic awesome into a massive, sprawling game with some of the best level design of the entire series. The addition of Knuckles as a playable character was genius. Suddenly you had new paths to explore and new strategies to master. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is more than just a great Sonic game. It showed that Sonic wasn't just about speed. It was also about exploration and creativity. Any Sonic game is a good time. This one is just gooder than most, in my opinion, which is the best opinion. I personally love retro racing games. There are lots of good ones to choose from, but I settled on Outrun. The graphics were great with smooth scrolling and vibrant environments that made you feel like you were cruising down a never-ending highway. One of the coolest features of this game was the non-linear gameplay. Instead of a straight track, you get to choose your route through various checkpoints, which means that no two playthroughs are the same. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book, but with more rubber burning like a cool guy and less reading like a nerd. The Genesis version of Outrun is a shining example of how arcade magic can be captured on home consoles, proving that sometimes the best road trip is the one you take from the comfort of your couch or toilet if you're playing on a handheld. Let's be real here. Chrono Trigger is incredible. That's all there is to it. It's often hailed as one of the best RPGs ever made, and if you've played it, you probably agree. It's got everything. A captivating story, groundbreaking gameplay, and a soundtrack that'll stick with you long after the credits roll. Compared to many RPGs of the time, it introduced a more dynamic battle system with combo attacks and a unique active time battle mechanic, but it's not just about the battles or the RPG grind. The story is incredible. It's a time-traveling epic that spans different eras. The multiple endings and side quests give you tons of reasons to replay the game. The Dusty Game Society covered this game recently, so check out that video if you want to know why this game is such a timeless classic. Chrono Trigger isn't just a great game. It's a cornerstone of gaming history, so you should play this one before you run out of time. There are a ton of Pokemon games out there, and I'm far from the expert, but if you're putting together a list of the best retro games, I think it makes sense to go back to the early days of the series. Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy took everything great about Pokemon Red and Blue and added a bunch of new stuff that made it stand out, and playing it today is a good representation of why the series is so well loved. But even if you're not a Pokemon nut, it's fun as heck to experience the magic of the original Pokemon craze. Pokemon Yellow is my pick for that. Just be prepared for Pikachu's occasional mood swings. He's got a bit of a temper, that one. Any retro gamer needs to play Pac-Man. It's a prerequisite. It's not optional. You can play the arcade version, but sometimes getting arcade games working on handhelds can be a little nuanced. So if you're looking for a version that's easy to find and faithfully recreates the arcade experience, the NES version is a good choice. You got the same iconic gameplay, guide Pac-Man through the maze, gobble up the pellets, and avoid those pesky ghosts. If you're looking for a nostalgic trip back to the golden age of gaming, you gotta play some Pac-Man. Come on now. It's a reminder that sometimes the simple games are the ones that are most enduring. Streets of Rage 2 is a prime example of why the beat-em-up genre is so incredibly fun. From the moment that you start the game, you're treated to a thrilling blend of fast-paced action, memorable characters. The graphics are gorgeous, with detailed sprites and vibrant backgrounds that bring the city streets to life. The soundtrack is packed with catchy, energetic tunes that perfectly complement the tight, responsive action as you down waves of enemies. Each character has their own unique abilities, which adds some nice variety to the game. It's a game that's not just about smashing enemies. It's about having a great time doing it and doing some sightseeing in a nostalgic neon retro world of beautiful pixel art. Alright, look, you've made it halfway through my list of games. You obviously love retro games and handhelds and my smooth, sensual voice. So freaking subscribe if you haven't yet, would ya? It costs you nothing, it tells YouTube that I'm doing something right, and it makes it more likely that we'll see each other again. So you'd have to be pretty stupid not to subscribe if you think about it. Does calling you stupid make you want to subscribe? Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I'm the stupid one. Mother 3 is a game that is a shining example of why RPGs can be so memorable and moving. We covered this one recently on the Dusty Game Society as well, so check out that video if you want a full review. The story is a unique blend of quirky humor and heartfelt drama. The characters are wonderfully developed and the narrative tackles some surprisingly deep themes. Plus, the game's battle system is really neat. It's got a rhythm-based mechanic that keeps the combat engaging. Mother 3 was never officially released outside Japan, but there is an amazing fan-translated version that's easy to track down. If you're a fan of RPGs or just looking for something truly special, play this game. Trust me, this game really stuck with me. I still think about it all the time. Cowabunga, dude! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time is a classic beat 'em up. I used to play this in the arcade back in the 90s, and it's just as fun today as it was back then. While the arcade version is a blast, the SNES port is the go-to choice for lots of gamers. It features the same rad turtle team and their epic battle against Shredder and his goons. The game offers that great Turtles arcade-style beat 'em up action in a time-traveling adventure, with levels that take you from prehistoric times to the far future. Honestly, even if you're not into the Ninja Turtles and you're just looking for a great beat 'em up to play on your handheld, Turtles in Time delivers. Just be prepared for the occasional pizza craving, dude. Not all retro gaming needs to involve battling monsters or saving princesses. Blades of Steel on the NES is my all-time favorite retro sports game. Even though I'm Canadian, I don't really care about hockey, but the simplicity and tight gameplay of Blades of Steel makes hockey fun, even for me. The controls are great, the graphics are classic 8-bit, and the sound effects are just right. Everything you'd expect from a great NES sports title. One of my favorite parts is the fighting, just like with real hockey. I played so much of this game when I was a kid, and I still love firing it up for the nostalgia. If you're looking for a sports game that feels retro but stands the test of time and is genuinely fun today, Blades of Steel is an amazing choice. It's one of those games that never goes out of style, like Cargo Shorts. There are tons of Metroid games out there, each with its own strengths and charm, but Metroid Fusion on the GBA might be the best place to start. It captures the essence of what makes the Metroid series so compelling: exploration, atmospheric storytelling, and intense action, but adds some modern touches that make it feel more satisfying by today's standards. There are some twists along the way that I won't spoil, but it's suspenseful and exciting. This game is a perfect blend of old and new, with enough updates to the formula to appeal to both newcomers and longtime fans, and it is a fantastic entry to the Metroid series. It's probably my personal favorite Metroid game that I've played. Burger Time on the Game Boy is my desert island game. It's the one game that I could play forever and never get bored. Some people might think I'm nuts for picking a game where you literally just make burgers, but hey, don't knock it till you try it. So you're a chef, a burger chef, and you need to build giant burgers by walking over the ingredients and avoiding food enemies like evil pickles and tomatoes. It feels like as much a puzzle game as an action game. There's something about Burger Time that just clicks for me. Maybe it's the addictive gameplay, or maybe it's just the satisfaction of squishing an enemy with a falling bun. Either way, I could play this game for hours, and I have. As one of the first home game consoles, the Atari 2600 set the stage for the future of gaming, even if all of its titles weren't gems. And that's putting it nicely. Pitfall stands out as a classic that does still hold up today. The goal is to navigate through the jungle, avoiding the hazards, and grab as many treasures as possible within a time limit. And it's a testament to the creativity and innovation of early video game developers, and despite the limitations of the Atari, Pitfall is one of the games from that era that remains genuinely fun to play. I need to have a fighting game on the list, obviously. I can't have a retro game list without a fighting game, and there is no shortage of great retro fighting games. However, I think Marvel vs. Capcom on the PS1 is a great starting place. This is a crossover fighting game that brings together iconic characters from both the Marvel Universe and Capcom games, along with solid arcade-style fighting fun, of course. The controls are responsive and the special moves and combos are flashy and satisfying, plus the PS1 version of the game is particularly easy to emulate on retro handhelds, so it's got that going for it. As long as your handheld is Hadoukenable and Shoryukenable, as Retro Game Corps would say, then you should play Marvel vs. Capcom. When it comes to retro puzzle games, Tetris is hard to beat, but I'm going to recommend the Game Boy Color version, Tetris DX. One of the standout features of this version is the fact that it was made for the Game Boy Color's color display. In terms of gameplay, Tetris DX offers several improvements over the first version, the original Game Boy version. It features a faster DAS and a more refined rotation system, which enhances the overall responsiveness. It's just a bit more modern with the timeless charm of the original Tetris. If you're a fan of the classic puzzle game or looking for a great version to play on your retro handheld, give Tetris DX a go. There are lots of ways to play this game. It's Ghouls and Ghosts, a classic arcade game that has captivated gamers with its challenging gameplay and dark fantasy setting. The Master System port captures the essence of the arcade original. You'll find yourself battling through hordes of undead enemies and enduring a relentless onslaught of murder to save the princess. While the Master System version may not be technically advanced as the arcade version, it has its own charm. If you're a fan of the Master System, or if you're looking for a different take on this classic, classic, Ghouls and Ghosts is definitely worth playing. Just remember, it's unforgiving as ever. So promise me that you're not going to throw your new handheld across the room. Okay? WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games is almost an impression of video games. It's just such a unique and engaging experience, firing all these quick little games at you that are both quirky and addictive. Each micro game lasts just a few seconds, and this setup makes it easy to dive in for a quick gaming session, whether you have a few minutes to spare or just need a break from more involved games. What keeps it fresh is the variety. The game features hundreds of micro games that span a wide range of genres and themes, and the sheer diversity of challenges ensures that no two sessions are ever the same. Just don't be surprised if you find yourself hooked and playing for far longer than you intended. This game has a way of sneaking up on you. And that's it. That's my big list of essential retro games, and each of these is 100% dweeb approved. This is my list, but I know there are lots of opinions out there about which retro games are must-play games, so let's hear your suggestions in the comments below, after you click the like button, if you like the video. And if you didn't, then maybe you should go watch it again because you might like it better the second time. Go right ahead. I'll wait.